r/AskReddit NSFW. People who have actually had sex with a step relative. What was the aftermath? Not me, but my coworker got his nephew a job with our company to help straighten him out and let him live with him. A few months later he starts talking about how he's going to be a granddad cause his 18Y/0 daughter who lives at home is pregnant. We later found out his nephew was banging his daughter on the regular and was the father of his grandbaby. Nephew got fired for failing a drug test not even 6 months into the gig. Pretty sure he ended up getting kicked out of their house too shortly thereafter. That's what you get for knocking up your cousin. Not me, but someone I was friends, we'll call her Sarah, with in high school. Sarah's half brother, we'll call him Alan, passed away, and everyone gathered for the funeral. This turned into an extensive family reunion. Sarah found herself interested in the half-brother's other half-brother, we'll call him Dan. Dan and Alan shared the same mom, while Alan and Sarah shared the same dad. Sarah and Dan were not related, but she got a lot of shit for it. She ended up moving out of the state to be with him, and has happily been with him for 7 years now. That's great for them. Alright, here we go. So, I meet girl. Meet her mom and dad. The girl and I have sex and ate for several months. She gets pregnant. I join the Navy to support my new family. I leave for boot camp and she starts sleeping around. So we break up. During this time her mom goes crazy. Her dad leaves her mom. He then starts seeing my mom. They get married. Boom. My ex is now my stepsister and my son is now my nephew. Welcome to West Virginia, y'all. Is that what they call a mountain mama over there? More like mountain mama. Thank you so much, kind stranger. First silver. My day hath been made. Well, that's ruined forever. Technically my step cousin. My mom married his uncle. We met as adults and hooked up quickly after meeting. We're married now. Whenever someone asks how we met, I just tell them he's my cousin. Meeting at the family reunion is a tale as old as time. Song as old as rhyme. My dad was banging my mom's sister and I have a couple of cousin brothers to show for it. Yes. Florida. Oh dear. Oh. Bother. Oh. Cousin brother. Oh. Browsing. I knew a girl in high school whose best friend's mom married her dad. Then the best friend and dad were caught f***ing, and it had been a whole thing. Both of them were really gross. So her friend, the one with the mom, f***ed your friend's dad. So he f***ed both the mother and daughter? Correct. Did he go for the grandmother to get a hat trick? It's actually called the big helmet somewhere. I just read that recently. And the small helmet is screwing 2 sisters. My sister gave our stepbrother a blowjob on one end of our wraparound couch, with our grown mother asleep on the other end. Spoiler alert, she woke up. We had some f***ed up family dynamics. Edit, I've answered these in the comments, but for anyone who doesn't feel like scrolling. What happened when she woke up? My grandmom woke up mid-job. Smacked my sister on the back of the head with her slipper. They sprung apart and ran away without saying a word. And the next morning everyone just acted like nothing ever happened. As far as I know, my grandmother never said a word about it to anyone. Where was I? I was in bed, sneakily reading Eragon and none the wiser, until my sister told me the next morning. I think these 2 instances perfectly encapsulate who we both were as a person, lol, and still are tbh. Hey, I think I've seen this one before. Robbie, is that you? My mother passed away, so my brother and I moved in with my father, stepmother and stepsister. My parents had a brutal divorce, so we were not very close to them. In fact, we didn't see my father for years. Fast forward. My brother, stepsister, stepbrother and I would play a lights out as teenagers. Basically, turn the lights out, and start beating the shit out of each other with pillows or anything we could find. I know it sounds like a sick game. Later, when we all played and wondered why I was not getting my hair pulled or punched, I turned on the lights and found my brother and stepsister making out. We stopped playing lights out, but my brother and sister were secretly seeing each until my stepmother found out. Edit. Grammar. The second part of the question. What's the aftermath? A guy I knew while we were both early teens had a huge crush on a girl who was a close friend of his family. His parents were church friends with her parents. Then, her parents both died in a car accident, and his parents had agreed to adopt her if such an incident were ever to occur. His mom was kinda weird and made him start calling her sister, and none of his family knew he was head over heels in love with this girl. Or if they suspected a crush, they pretended not to. What they for sure didn't know, because his parents were old, disowned him, was that by high school, they were secretly banging almost every night. I lost touch with them during high school, and I want to know what ended up happening with them so badly it drives me crazy to think about. Edit. To the million people asking me to track them down now. I tried years ago, but literally the only thing I have to go off of is his name. We only hung out for a few years, and it was because my mom and his mom were work friends who hung out outside of work a lot during that time. I don't know what school he went to or what church they went to. I don't remember his school friends' names. I'm only about 70% sure I'm even remembering the girl's name correctly. The only avenue I could think of exploring is asking my mom what her former coworker's name is, or if she remembers where they moved to. But that's a really weird question to bring up 15 years later, so I don't really plan on going that route. I just gave his name another search, but it's a fairly common name, and without more to go off of, it's sort of impossible to find a match on social media. Sorry to disappoint. My friend did it, and now everyone calls him step bro at school. My uncle married his stepsister when they were teenagers. They had 4 kids together and divorced. Years later, my dad married her. She was his stepsister and younger brother's ex-wife. My cousins became my step-siblings. Uncle lived around the corner. Her kids did not like being told what to do by their uncle. My dad always felt like she treated me and my sister poorly. My grandma threatened to disown my dad several times for marrying her. They were together for about a year before stepmom couldn't handle dad's drinking anymore, and he said he was sick of her kids disrespecting him and her not treating my sister and me good enough. We moved out, but they stayed married for over 10 years. Cousin/step siblings weren't as close with us after that, and my sister and I were kinda considered black sheep of the family. Too bad. I liked being around my cousins so much, and I thought my aunt/stepmom was cool. I was like 10 to 11 at the time though. I can't imagine what those two were thinking when they got together in the first place. Whole thing was confusing to say the least. Confusing is putting it lightly. I blacked out like 2 sentences in. How hard did you orgasm if you blacked out? Let's just slip right to relatives. Caught my cousins kissing. I quietly snuck out to let them do whatever horrors they intended. Never mentioned it, not once. Well, apart from the odd slight remark every now and again. It was just a quick fling, I believe. Edit. They weren't siblings. They were also cousins to each other. I think they were around age 18, give or take a couple years. Didn't happen in the US, as some people have tried to guess for various reasons and experiences. Thanks for all the interesting replies. Too many to reply to, but enjoyable to read. If you know people that have married or dated their cousin, no judgment from me, and I hope they are happy. The end. I had a coworker who told us unashamedly that she had sex with a distant cousin. Another coworker asked like a 4th cousin of something. She said no. He was my first cousin, but lived 2 states away. Love the play on words on that one. People are complex. My best friend had sex with his stepsister. She fell in love, since it was her first time and he didn't. She then asked him to formally date her, to which he refused and ghosted her. Moved out of the city. She entered a deep depression and they haven't spoken in years. This took a sad turn. This is what happens when you pay for the full video, no thanks. Well, we had sex 2 times. She got pregnant. We tried to work it out. It didn't go well. She left to a different state and then threatened to come get our daughter. I got a lawyer and filed for custody. She never responded and I won by default. I haven't heard from her since my daughter was 8 months old. That was over 4 years ago now. Edit. Word. Does no one remember to use protection when they're banging a sibling? Jeez. Trojan pulled a Trojan on me. My stepbrother is also my brother-in-law. He married my sister and they have 2 kids. This isn't a good story though. They were dating before our dad and his mom started dating. So we all met as adults. And I knew him originally as my sister's boyfriend. And then it got weird on paper, cause our parents married. Did your parents meet through them, or did they not know they were dating? Had a coworker who was sleeping with his stepsister. Both of them were already in college when their parents met and got married. Pretty sure it lasted a while, with them all living in the same house. Eventually got caught by one of the parents, which ultimately led to the parents separating. #SISLOVESMEDIT. Thanks for the gold, big brother. What are you doing, step bro? I could hear it. Oh my god, lol. Hooked up with dad's girlfriend's daughter before they married. Her mom found out. All she said was, well, I'm glad you two got it out of your system before you're related. Anyways, it was boring and pointless. The whole naughtiness of it was the best part. Edit. Punctuation. Because I'm worried about what you people will think of me. Not me, but my older brother. 4 years the story was he got the clap from this older woman who took his virginity. A month ago he told me the truth. He got the clap from our stepsister, who at one point tried to sleep with me too. Bro, you were almost Eskimo brothers with your brother. Through your sister. Now that's a sentence. A girl I was sleeping with once tried to get me to set her up with my little sister. It was in that moment that I realized that there is little a man has to fear more than the prospect of being Eskimo siblings with his younger sister. And it's not something that I had ever even thought of before. My parents are stepsister brother. What's your relationship with them like? Good. I love them dearly. They are divorced and don't communicate, but are friendly with each other. Honestly, it messes up my family tree and it's hard to understand who is who to me. Though it's funny thing to tell people. My 6th grandparents were step siblings. It was indeed confusing at first when I was trying to research the family tree. I was like, okay, his father is 30 and his mother was 30 and his mother died and his father remarried to 30th. Now her father was 30 and her mother was 30 and her father died and her mother remarried to. Now just wait a damn minute. Holy shit. That's a lot of pornsters for one family. To quote Jigak, if they are not blood related, they are free to be dated. Apostrophe. I didn't expect to see Jigak here. Less in a high voted comment. A girl I worked with had, in my opinion, a really weird situation. Her dad was dating a woman, and she was dating the woman's son. All living under the same roof too. I believe they broke up, and it got pretty toxic as they kept trying to make their step-sibling jealous by bringing home randoms to sleep with. Imagine explaining that one to the people you're bringing around. One of my uncles married a woman when they were in their 50s and their 20-something kids ended up falling in love and marrying. So my cousin married her stepbrother. My uncle ended up divorcing and has a third wife, but my cousin is still happily married with 3 kids 20+ years later. I have the same story, except the stepbrother is my cousin. This guy I worked with down in Louisiana married his 16-year-old second cousin when he was 25. Both sets of parents put them together when she was 14. By the time she was 16 she had just given birth, and they had been married shortly after. This was probably near 10 years ago now when they got married, though I worked with him about 5 years ago. The incest is the most normal part of that story. A girl I went to middle school with was impregnated by her stepbrother. She must have 12 or 13. I think he was 17 to 19. Childhood me thought she was trashy, but adult me knows she was groomed and taken advantage of. I think her parents more or less raised the kid as their own and her role was more of a sister. Eek. So sad. You've reached the end. You're a star. Destroy the subscribe button for more like that.